All right, so boom. Last week, MGM Resorts suffered a major cybersecurity breach, and we're also going to talk about why companies are forcing everyone to go back to work. Are you interested in starting your career in the cloud? Well, if that's you, then I got something for you. Level Up in Tech is a comprehensive 24-week program guaranteed to help you land a high-paying role in the cloud. Some of the skills that they teach you in Level Up in Tech are server config and troubleshooting, AWS, infrastructure as code, CI/CD, scripting, containerization, and more. Level Up in Tech has helped over 800 people start their career in the cloud. So if you're interested in the program, click the link in my bio, click under Tech Resources, and click on Start Your Cloud Career. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy HD, and I'm back with a solo episode of the Textual Talk Podcast. It's episode 101, and I just want to thank everybody for rocking with me. You really been supporting the last episode. Y'all been supporting the in-person episode, so I really appreciate that. I got more to come. And yeah, so episode 101 is starting season 4, and let me catch myself. When I first started the podcast years ago, I never knew how many episodes I was going to do or how long it was going to run. I just knew I wanted to do it. And through the support and the various different guests that I've gotten on here, it's let me know that it's something that's actually helping people and impacting their lives. And that's what helps me keep on doing it. That's what helps me even do solo episodes. I'm not so dependent on guests to where I won't talk to you guys like you like to hear from me from just myself sometimes. And that's what I like to do. But before we get into everything we're going to talk about today, y'all know what to do. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button. And I'm just going to talk to you guys a little bit today. So last week, I got to see Drake in concert. I've been listening to Drake since 2007, 2008. So to go see my favorite artist that I've been listening to pretty much my whole life is crazy. It's like every album he came out with was like a different point in my life, and it was cool. So the tour name was It's All a Blur. Yeah, It's All a Blur tour. And I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a great concert. The concept of just it seeming like a blur to a younger him when he's coming up and out of the stage or sitting on the couch or in the bed or acting like he's like a teenager and just experiencing different things and all the different songs that he did on the set. It was like crazy. It reminded me a little bit of like Usher's performance, how Usher goes through these different songs throughout his, Usher been in the game, 30 years now? I think so. 30 plus years. So I think it's similar to that, like all the different songs Drake has, and it was really cool. The crowd was really rocking. Him and 21 came out. I might even put some footage like right here as I'm talking. But that was pretty cool. Got to stay in a dope hotel. Matter of fact, we got a suite for like no extra charge because we had a plumbing issue in our room. And yeah, so all in all, guys, since I last seen you guys, I had my guy Tayo on Tech on here, and that was episode 100. And I gotta say, that probably is one of my favorite episodes to edit myself. If you guys don't know, I pretty much shoot, edit, market everything myself. Hopefully that is soon to change, either by the end of this year or next year, because it's a lot to do. I like to do it, but I can use that time to do better stuff, like spend time with my family or do other things. But I just want to let you guys know what that is, and also to continue to support the Textual Talk Podcast. Like I said, join the Patreon. The Patreon gets all these episodes ad free, but it's also a way for you to help invest in this company to where I can keep on doing the in-person episodes, or eventually what I want to get to, guys, is I want to travel to different people. Sometimes they can't come to Dallas and do the podcast out there so they can talk with me. So you investing in the Patreon helps me invest back into the podcast. It helps me continue to give you great content from those that you want to hear from. But enough about that. One thing I want to touch on before we get into the major parts of this episode is we've been hearing a lot of talks about September surge. Now, I don't know necessarily if it's like a surge, but I will say my LinkedIn inbox has been buzzing with some great offers. Well, I don't want to say offers, with some great salaries. So I'll tell people all the time, you have to make sure that you always never take your open to work thing off. Leave it just open to recruiters. Always constantly update it, flick it on and off. Edit your skills. Always reevaluate what you put on your job titles or re-edit those. And just make sure you have relative skills that are high paying in the market, because once you get your experience, the numbers come around. Like now, the jobs that saying, "Oh, 10 years experience," I have that. They're offering six figures that don't start with a one. And that's not me saying the flex. That's not me saying that you can or can't do it. That's just like how the progression goes as you get your experience and based on where you worked at. That's why I tell people, hey, where you work does matter in a sense. If you have bigger names or it's in a certain industry and you work different places, companies will look at that and say, oh, they worked here, they worked here, they worked here. Let's see if they want to come work with us. We'll offer them something prosperous. Now, I will say there probably aren't many remote offerings so far, as they haven't said. It's been real ambiguous and vague, but I know for a fact a lot of these jobs are hybrid, where you want to do 1, 2, or 3 days into the office, and you know how that goes. But just, I just want to say, like, check out your LinkedIn. Always make sure it's up to date. Stay on it. Be active. Network. You know what you got to do. And also, if you're watching right now or listening, let me know if your inbox has been blowing up. But now, guys, I want to touch on one of the bigger events last week, and that was the MGM Resorts breach. All right, so if y'all not aware, in short, MGM Resorts pretty much experienced a cybersecurity incident last week, or a breach. At first, they were classifying it as a cybersecurity issue, and from what research has shown me briefly is that it happened via social engineering, more specifically phishing, where they use social engineering on someone on the help desk to, I believe, get like some admin credentials and get access to files that they shouldn't have access to. But we're going to read a little bit about this article, and we're going to talk about some things in depth. So MGM's casinos EXXI servers allegedly encrypted in ransomware attack. An affiliate of the Black Cat ransomware group, also known as APLHV, is behind the attack that disrupted MGM Resorts operations, forcing the company to shut down IT systems. In a statement today, the Black Cat ransomware group claims that they had infiltrated MGM's infrastructure since Friday and encrypted more than 100 hypervisors after the company took down the internal infrastructure. The gang says that they exfiltrated data from the network and maintained access to some of MGM's infrastructure, threatening to deploy new attacks unless an agreement to pay a ransom is breached. So let's talk about that a lot. Briefly, not only was this a security issue, this is also an operations-based thing as well. When you talk about help desk, people talk about help desk so bad, but how pivotal it can be in something like this is serious. You shouldn't be able to easily reset those type of credentials via the help desk. There should be a different process for that, because those are elevated privileges on that account, and they need to make sure the person that's asking for their credentials to be reset is that person. Also, I saw rumblings on Twitter that there's bad documentation in the environment, that a lot of people don't know how the network works, how it's segmented. Same thing, security teams. So if that's the case, that's another reason why they were in a lose-lose situation. Everyone's going to look at this and blame the networking teams, IT teams, or the security teams. But actually, this is on the stakeholders. They are supposed to be the ones that are overseeing everything and saying, hey, we need this documented. We need these assets updated. We need this, this, and this, and this, and this, and done. Everyone else is just the people that are working, or they're implementing what's being told for them to do. So if that's not happening, that's why you start seeing these things. Let's keep on going down. All right. Cybersecurity researcher VX Underground first broke the news that threat actors affiliated with ALPHV ransomware operation allegedly breached MGM through a social engineering attack. While Bleeping Computer could not confirm if this was true, the Black Cat admin did confirm with Bleeping Computer yesterday that one of their adverts carried out the MGM attack, saying that it wasn't the same actor that hacked Western Digital in March. Citing sources familiar with the matter, reports later said that the threat actor that breached MGM Resorts is being tracked by cybersecurity companies that Scatter Spider. Other companies call it Octopus, UNC 3944, Scatter Swine. According to Bloomberg reporter, Scatter Spider has also breached the network of Caesars Entertainment, who is a U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission on Thursday, provided a strong hint at paying the attackers to avoid a leak of customer data stolen in the attack. The ransom demand was allegedly $30 million. Now, this was a shocker as well. We didn't really hear anything about the Caesars breach, but if that is the case, then let's see, when did they say this actually happened? So that's another thing. We don't know when the Caesars breach happened, but I know that I stayed at Caesars last year. So If that's the case, then they gotta let some people know, hey, we were breached and this is what we're gonna do. You better give me some free rooms or something. You know what I'm saying? But listen, I always tell people IT, networking, all this stuff, job security. They're gonna probably get some people in that can fix this thing. But it's gonna be tough because they're gonna have a lot of work to do. And they're gonna have to go through a lot of one of the hardest things about going into a new company is implementing change, especially if it's a big company. People are resistant to change, but you ought to know, hey, if you don't want this to happen again, let me do it. So let's keep going. In their statement today, Black Cat says that MGM Resorts remains silent on the provided communication channel, indicating that the company has no intentions to negotiate a ransom payment. The hackers stressed that only action they saw from MGM was in response to the breach, disconnecting each and every one of their Okta Sync servers after learning that we had been lurking on their Okta agent servers. The attacker claims that they were trying to sniff any password that they could not recover from the domain controller hash dumps. All right. Also, so this is one of the things too. You want to answer different questions when we're interviewing for these roles. Sometimes one of the things you got to assume sometimes is the attackers are already in your environment. But one of the things that attackers have that you don't is time. So let's visualize this. You know, you watch the different movies where someone's thinking about breaking into a physical building, and what do they do all the time? They clock when the security comes in and out. Like, prime example, the movie that Ice Cube's son did with the guys where they robbed the bank, the big bank. I forget what the name of it is, but you know how they were so detailed in knowing exactly who is going to be where and when. That's what people do on the network side. And even specifically what they did with the help desk. Or it could have been some insider threat stuff too, to where, hey, somebody said, we got lax controls here. You guys let me in. I'll get this information for you. I want my cut. There are a lot of different things at play here that more will be released in due time. Let's see. Despite shutting down the synchronization Okta servers, the hackers continue to be present on the network, Black Cat says in their statement. They claim to still have super admin privileges on MGM's Okta environment and global administrative permissions to the company's Azure tenant. After seeing MGM taking this action with no intention from the company to engage in negotiations over the provided chat, the threat actor says they deployed the ransomware attack. And also what's interesting is typically admin accounts, it's weird, but most of the time admin accounts don't necessarily have, you can put multi-factor on them, but most of the time you associate like different accounts with like mailboxes. And so a lot of times you're already on the network. And so you just need your password to authenticate. So I wonder who passwords are, or how were they already in the environment? And then they also got these admin credentials. So that's something I'm wondering as well as I'm reading this. After waiting a day, we successfully launched ransomware attacks against more than 100 EXXI hypervisors in their environment on September 11th after trying to get in touch, but failing. This was after they brought in external firms for assistance in containing the incident. Okay, so they brought in some external firms. I wonder who they were. At this moment, the hackers say they do not know what type of data they stole from MGM, but promise to extract relevant information and share it online unless they reach an agreement with MGM. To pressure the company even more into paying, Black Cat threatened to use their current access to MGM's infrastructure to carry out additional attacks. All right. Let's see if I can find anything else interesting for you guys. Because I'll link this and you can read this later. So you see, all right, let me break this down to you. What I just read are write-ups that eventually happen after they get the lessons learned and all the different reports. So their report is going to be very extensive on this. Once they get all the information, it's going to take some weeks to get down. But how to understand how attackers can come in and maintain persistence and get into an environment is by reading news like that, reading those different articles. That's how you can answer these questions when they ask you in interviews. So if you stay up to date with security news and read up on them and read how or what these threat actors are and go research what they've been implementing on how they got into an environment, you could be a step ahead of the game. And even though you may not be an expert, you still can sound knowledgeable on what you see happening in today's landscape. Now, the next article I want to get into is Goldman Sachs is wanting people to come back into the office 5 days a week. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know I had my stint there and what they were pushing for before I left. So I think 5 days is crazy. And so we're actually going to read that article, and I'm gonna give it up how I give it up. So let's check it out. All right. No more work from home. Goldman Sachs asks employees to return to office 5 days a week. Let's see. Working from home surged in popularity because of COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent lockdowns. Although the crisis is largely in a rearview mirror, remote work continues to be popular because it offers flexibility and alleviates community stress. But that convenience is no longer available at Wall Street juggernaut Goldman Sachs. According to a recent report from Bloomberg, Goldman is urging its employers to return to office full-time following senior managers' frustration over some staff not being present 5 days a week. While there's flexibility when needed, we are simply reminding our employees of our existing policy. Jacqueline Arthur, Goldman's global head of human capital management, said in a statement, "We have continued to encourage employees to work in office 5 days a week." Now, here's the thing, and it depends on, like I said, I've talked about when I worked there, and every office may be different, but they have you crammed up right next to people all day. People are having meetings. You don't have any personal space, and in my opinion. And they're also now in the news talking about another strain of COVID being out. So it's pretty much forget your health, forget your kids, just come into work anyway. Not to mention, like where I'm in the DFW area, it's spaced out here. So things aren't always as affordable everywhere. So people have to move out into the suburbs so they can afford a place for them and their family to stay. And they are not making any, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not helping anybody with salary for one to come into office. So they're just telling you, but not up in the pay because things have gone up. That's another thing too. It's like, hey, inflation is rising. I think last year they didn't have such a good year with bonuses. So what incentives do people have to come into the office, especially, and I'm not going to talk about everybody because I believe maybe the investment bankers or the other type of jobs where you do need to meet clients face to face and show them what you guys are working on. That's a different type of lane, But when it comes to working in some type of tech focused role, 5 days a week is a bit much, especially if there's no incentive for them to come. And sure, they may say, oh, your incentive is keeping your job. But there are companies that aren't making you come back in 5 days a week. So let's keep reading and see what else they got to say. In April, JP Morgan Chase and Company instructed its managing directors to be in office 5 days per week. Additionally, a memo from the bank stated that employees not meeting their in-office attendance expectations must change or face appropriate performance management steps, which could include corrective action. The waiver of return to office isn't limited to Wall Street. That's cool. Okay, let's read this as, is remote work morally wrong? Employers have cited various reasons for bringing people back to the office, such as productivity, collaboration, training, and networking. For Musk, though, there's more to the story. In an interview with CNBC earlier this year, Musk noted that workers who make things people consume can't work remotely, and to assume that these workers have to work on site while you don't is morally wrong. It's like, really, you're going from work from home and you're going to make everyone else who made your car come work in the factory. You're going to make the people who make your food that can't work from home, he said. The people that come to fix your house, they can't work from home, but you can. Does that seem morally right? That's messed up. Musk went so far to say as the laptop class is living in La La Land. That's funny because you are a freaking billionaire. So you don't have to come in to work. You can do your deals from wherever you want to. Number two, you making that let me see if I don't butcher it. False equivalency is like me talking about basketball players getting paid millions of dollars a year compared to whatever I do. Based on how much money you make, people determines on what type of flexibility you will have in their workplace. There's not much correlation. People know what job they chose. Please believe me, if there was a way for people to control robots or something from home and make cars or whatever they got to do, they would do it. So don't be like that. We know for a fact that working from home is better most of the time for people than going to the office, especially if you, like I said, if you stay farther out, you got kids. Sometimes your commute is like over an hour and a half a day. By the time you get home, sometimes it's late. You miss stuff from your kids. You're so drained. So let's not act like, that isn't a valid reason why people prefer to work remotely, where they can go to their kids' things. They can get their work done. Come on. Let's keep it real. And this is why I think it's crazy with the whole RTO thing. The landscape of everything has changed in the last 3 years. It just has. Some companies need to get with it. Or you'll see the fall of a lot of prolific companies because some of these companies feel like, hey, because I'm GS, you should just want to come in here 5 days a week. And There are always going to be new companies coming around that'll take that talent and how they've helped Goldman Sachs be successful for years and give them the flexibility they're looking for. And that's what a lot of these companies that are being ran by older people are not understanding. People want flexibility in their life, just like you have flexibility. You get to call all the shots, you get to make all the money, but I keep my salary the same, yet I have to go in, spend more on gas and also groceries and everything else, but not really get an uptake. I got to hope that I get a good enough bonus next year for me and my family. I'm not giving equity. There are a whole bunch of different things that they need to correct. If they want people to abide by these rules, they're going to have to up the ante. They're going to have to do it. If not, people are going to be walking out and going to better companies that's going to treat them better for their lifestyle. And that's how I feel about that. Now, there was actually one more article I came across. It was about artificial intelligence in the job search process. And I want to talk about that briefly. We want to dissect this article simply because so many people are going the way of trying to use AI to find jobs. But some of you may be doing it the wrong way, and it still may not be leading to you having success in your career journey. So let's talk about it. So 5 AI job search mistakes you need to sidestep. Let's talk about this. So I'm going to read a little bit of this and then I'm going to go into the titles of it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. From creating resumes to sending automated networking emails, there are plenty of ways that AI is transforming the job search and streamlining the recruitment process. While this could be great news for both job seekers and employers, it's not without its challenges. It might feel easier and more efficient to let AI tools and platforms take control, especially when you're a business professional without much free time to dedicate to the search. However, it's crucial that you remember that these are just tools. They still require human input, and therefore they can't manage your entire job search. If you leave the entire search and application process to AI, you might just cost yourself your dream job. Here are 5 AI job search mistakes you need to sidestep this year if you want to get hired soon. Confusing man and machine. It is so important when writing an application that you are writing for a real person and not a machine. After all, the final review of your application before you're invited for an interview is likely to come down to a recruiter or potential employer. Thank you. So many people have been sold on the lie about ATS that they're saying, oh, AI is just going to put all the keywords on your resume and ATS is going to get you selected to get an interview. It's not how it works. A person is reviewing your resume and they're going to say yay or nay. I'm just being honest. So that being said, with 75% of resumes never being seen by the human eye, it's imperative you can get your resume past an ATS so it can be seen by a real person. So you need the help of a machine to process your application. This can feel like a catch-22. To combat this, you need to make sure that you write your profile and all detailed descriptions for a real person, whilst also ensuring that you populate your content with relevant keywords to get past the algorithm in the first place. So to sum that up, it's something that I've always said on LinkedIn. When I do your resume, I intend to make it viewable for a human to decipher your skill set based on a job description. That's it. Simple case and put. So let's see why it's important. According to a 2023 survey, over 98% of Fortune 500 companies use ATS when hiring, as do a further 66% of large companies and 35% of small organizations. So while it may feel like a lot of extra work, it is both work and is necessary if you want to increase your chances of being invited for an interview. Let's see what this is talking about. Giving AI full control. There are loads of great tools out there that allow you to simply enter basic information and career background and they generate a resume for you. While this can be very helpful and is certainly useful, you don't have the time to be messing around with formatting. You shouldn't rely on those tools alone. Once your resume or cover letter has been created for you, make sure that you go through and carefully proofread and check every aspect. You might find you need to make a few changes to remove any repetition or make it more engaging. So by all means, utilize these tools, but always check the finished product before submitting your application. Yes, I've used ChatGPT before and I have to fine tune some things that it says because sometimes it's pulling from all these different places, but it's not always the best outcome when you use AI. And of course, there are other AI tools. Shout out to Teal. Y'all need to get back with me so we can go ahead and work on something. But there are better tools out there that can help suit your job process that take some manual effort, but not all manual effort, if that makes anything. So let's keep going. Choosing complicated resume formats. Let's get into this one. If you choose to build your resume yourself or you already have one ready to go, it is crucial that you're using a standardized resume format. Unfortunately, if you try to get too creative and stand out, you might confuse AI tools, which could lead to your resume ending up on a rejection pile. For example, it's usually best to avoid adding pictures, custom created fonts, and hyperlinks. It's also important that you are consistent with titles, bullet points, and other formatting, as these tools can recognize patterns. Now, I agree. Keep it simple, stupid. The KISS method works on your resume. I've seen where people are trying to be too cute with their resumes and it doesn't really work for them in the long run. We want to let them know what they need to see in the most concise way as possible without doing the most with crazy fonts and crazy color schemes. Now, I disagree with him. Well, whoever wrote this article on not having hyperlinks on there, I disagree because, hey, some of your projects, you don't want to just riddle your resume with projects or your LinkedIn. So you have a section that says like GitHub or LinkedIn with a hyperlink to it and they click on it. The human can click on it. I disagree with that stance. Not checking through auto-populated content. There's nothing more tedious and time-consuming than having to go through different job sites or career portals and enter the information over and over again. From your name and address of your skills, yada, yada, yada. Let's see if it's the meat and potatoes. Let's see. All right, this is the last one. Leaving your search up to algorithms and machines. Last but not least, you need to avoid relying too heavily on machines, algorithms, and job alerts. That's not to say these aren't helpful and you shouldn't sign up to job alerts and other tools. However, if you're relying only on job alerts that are based on the requirements you enter into a job matching platform, you can miss out on great opportunities. So as well as using AI to recommend related roles, be sure that you dedicate some time each week to actively search for positions, network, and reach out to like-minded professionals, as you never know where your next opportunity will come from. By avoiding these 5 AI mistakes, you can make the most of the job searching tools while also increasing your chance of finding the perfect role. Yes, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. While AI can be beneficial, it takes human effort to make sure you're doing your job search properly. The things that AI can't do, sure, AI can give you a script, but AI isn't not at the point where, like, for example, I teach my students how, okay, you want a job or maybe you want to stay in the same industry. Let's go find some people that work there. Let's go actually comment on their posts. Let's go react to them. Let's go reach out to them and talk to them a little bit back and forth, but also be upfront about what you're looking for, what you may need help with. AI is not doing that part for you. And that could be a critical step in why you're not getting, that could be a critical step in why you aren't getting callbacks for your resume. And also, most jobs are not even posted. So networking is always going to be better than relying on AI because it's not about who you know, but who knows you, like we always say. So use AI tools to help you. Maybe like I said, I like Teal. So Teal can do different resumes for you based on what you already have constructed and help you pick out keywords, but then you can apply with different jobs with different resumes. You can send out things to recruiters after you already talked to them and have some type of warm opening with them. But other than that, do not rely on them the whole time because sometimes the people that are creating these tools have never worked in HR or anything like that. So relying on them could be a big blind spot on you. But that's been the episode today. It's been pretty much current events and just short on like the things that were going on. I still have some other stuff. I got some big guests coming in the future. Also, guys, sponsor this video today was Level Up in Tech. So you are interested in starting your cloud career, check out Level Up in Tech. Look at the link in the description and get your call with them today so they can get you on your way to get into a cloud career. Also, like I said, check out the Patreon. If you need coaching advice from me, book a consultation. Check out my free webinar, my free ebook. You're trying to get into cybersecurity. Yeah, but it's everything. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. I got the heat coming. Like I said, I'm going to get a team and we're going to be smoking. But until next time, like your boy always say, it's your boy HD. I'm out. Peace.